Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight comparison video, and today we are going to be looking at the Wurkkos TD01, 2, 3, and 4 together to show you the differences between all of them and help you decide what's best for you. So let's start with the TD01 first. Now this is the monster of the lot. This thing produces the greatest amount of throw. I think I measured close to 2 kilometers of throw with this one here. You've got a really large bezel. Obviously, side switch, tactical switch here on the back as well. So it's actually got a momentary mode, half press for turbo, and just switch on basically, and then you press this button here on the side to switch between some various different modes. It's 21700 batteries, so yeah, the configuration of this flashlight is pretty big. Okay, you can see, I mean, it's obviously the difference between all these other ones as well. If you are happy to carry around a larger flashlight and you just want the best performance in terms of throw and sustained output, the TD01C is the best one to get. There is also a TD01 version which comes with an FET driver, but remember with the FET driver that it does reduce in brightness as you use the flashlight, as the battery depletes and voltage reduces. The TD01C is a buck driver, so it circumvents that. So that's the TD01C, and let's move on to the TD04. Now, this is the brightest of all of the flashlights. So it produces the highest output, 3000 lumens, and that's because you have here the XHP 50.3 high, and you've got basically the SFT40 in the TD01, but this one here is a much larger die. Okay, 3000 lumens. You've also got an orange peel reflector, just helps to balance out that beam and focus it a bit better. With large LEDs, that tends to be an issue with small reflectors. Okay, similar kind of interface as you get with the TD01C. So half press, okay, to access turbo, full press to just have constant output turbo. And once the light is on, you can actually switch between the different modes. And also important to mention that there are a couple of different interfaces that you can select with the TD04 and the TD01C. So you can actually alternate between them. If you want a more EDC friendly flashlight that has different modes in there, you can select that mode, or you can switch over so that you've just basically got turbo and a medium mode that are accessible through this interface. So I think that's good. I think that's something that some other manufacturers could take on board, rather than just have a tactical light that just switches on to turbo and has strobe, maybe a moonlight mode in there. So if you want basically the brightest of the lot, still decent amounts of throw, at least 200 plus meters of throw, I believe I mentioned, this is a really good option. Now the TD04 does not come with a buck driver. It does come with the normal FET driver. So it's something to keep in mind, that the light will reduce in brightness as you continue using it. Now this one here is a new one that I got recently, the Wurkkos TD03, and it's a little bit different from the others because it has this tail switch here that allows you to select between different modes. So that at the moment it's off, but you can press and hold for strobe. You've got this mode here, which is basically 4 different brightness modes. And then this one here, which is the tactical mode. So, you know, it basically just starts off in turbo, and you can cycle it from medium to turbo on that tactical mode. Obviously, you've got that tactical switch here on the back as well. Now, it is, in my opinion, somewhere in between a tactical flashlight and a normal EDC flashlight, just because there's a lot going on in the UI. But the great thing is, like, if you need access to one-step strobe, you have that available. And same with that turbo mode. If you just flick that right to the end, with one hand, you can access turbo, right? I mean, it does take a little bit to get to that end, but at the end of the day, that's probably the closest thing you could get to one-step strobe on an EDC slash tactical style flashlight. I'm hesitant to call it a tactical flashlight just because, like I said, there's too much going on in here. But the advantage of that is you can use this for so many different purposes. You know, I have this nice little low mode there. You know, you can activate the higher modes. It remembers this mode as well, so you can go back to it like that, or go straight onto that tactical mode. And you know, I've got an SFT40 with a smooth reflector. The bezel is a little bit bigger than the TD02, which I'll talk about in a moment. But I think I really think that it's worth that extra slight diameter in the head, because you do get much better performance, much better throw performance, measured over 300 meters range with this LED in here. So last one, let's go have a chat about the TD02. I did get this, I can't remember how long ago, maybe a couple of months ago. And again, I'm hesitant to call this an actual tactical flashlight. It does have access to that turbo mode, okay, if you basically just go through the UI and set it to turbo, turn off, turn back on. So it has a 1 second memory mode, okay, to access turbo pretty quickly, but there's always the chance that when you turn it on and you flick modes too quickly, you end up with another mode, like the low mode. So yeah, wouldn't count this as a, I guess, pure tactical flashlight. Again, somewhere in the middle of tactical and EDC. But I would say the TD03 is more tactical than the TD02. TD02 is the smallest of the lot, though. So if you really need the most compact option, it's 18650, just like the TD03 18650 configuration. It's also got, onboard charging. All these lights have onboard charging. Very compact sort of size. At the end of the day, if it came down to which ones I would carry on me, I'd be leaning definitely more towards the TD03 and the TD04, both because of the size of the lights, but also just due to that more tactical interface as well. So, this one's got 3000 lumens, but it does remember the turbo mode. TD03 kind of, like I mentioned before, you can just flick it onto that last mode there, which is going to always be on turbo. All right, this one's out of the question for EDC purposes, obviously due to the head, but I mean, performance wise, if you're just looking for the most powerful thrower out of the lot, the highest performing one, and no compromises kind of thing, the TD01C, I mean, you just can't beat that. If you're out there and you've never tried one of these larger diameter TIR throwers, I really recommend this one, because especially with that 21700 cell in there, you're really going to get some decent runtime. Usually the light's a bit bigger as well, so it's going to be able to dissipate heat nice. It just makes much more of a practical option. But let's have a look. Let's skip to the beam shots and see how they all perform together. All right, so today I'm going to be comparing the Wurkkos TD01, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the TD01C. All right, so it's basically the throwiest of all of these lights. Amazing beam. Look at that hot spot. And if we compare it to any of the others, really, it's no competition. This thing throws about 1 kilometer. So tons of light underneath that you can see. All the trees there to the left, the trunks, and underneath the trunks as well. Now, if I compare it to the next throwiest light, the TD03, you can already see the difference. It's just absolutely night and day. Okay, the TD03 is on the right, on turbo as well. Okay, smaller reflector, smaller light altogether. So do notice the spill of the TD03 is significantly brighter, rather than it being focused into a centralized hotspot, as you see with the TD01. Okay, I'll put the TD01 away for a moment, and I'm going to bring out the TD04. Okay, so this is the TD04, and then back to the TD03 on the right. So TD03 on the right and TD04 to the left. And you can already see, if you look at that tree to the right there, the TD03, has better performance, long range performance. It's not producing as much light for sure. Okay, the TD04 is producing a lot more light. Okay, but what's happening is, as the TD03 steps down, which it has now, okay,
the throw is pretty comparable, if not, yeah, pretty comparable between both of them, okay? But if I just put it back, reset turbo, you can see, you know, better performance again on turbo, but it does step down within 30 seconds, whereas the TD04, just due to that sheer amount of light output, is able to throw further after that 30-40 second mark after the TD03 steps down. This year is the TD02. All right, TD02. And then I'll have it right next to the TD03 here. And on the right, the TD04. So, look, I would say the TD02 just probably doesn't throw as far as the other two. If you want the one that throws the most, get the TD01. Otherwise, the TD03 is probably the one that you want to get for long range performance. If you don't mind it stepping down after that half-minute mark, okay? But the TD04 just has some better output, and due to that, even after stepping down, is still able to keep up, if not slightly outperform, the TD03. Let's look at the TD02 on the left and the TD04 on the right. Look, they're both pretty similar, really, in output. In terms of throw, I mean, but yeah, due to the TD04 having to step down a bit, it's not producing as much light, so it's kind of keeping up really with the TD02.